If you've ever found yourself just writing plans upon plans without actually taking the action needed to finish any of them, you're not alone. And I wanted to share some of the reasoning behind why I often fall into this pattern, as well as what I'm doing to prevent it moving forward. See, I am a habitual planner. I love having things organized, having a plan laid out so I know what to expect in the future. The problem is, this often leads me into over planning or even replanning things that I've already laid out. At the end of the day, I feel really accomplished. I feel productive, like I did something good for the day. But the reality is, I didn't even touch the work that I was supposed to for that day or that I needed to get done because I was so focused on building out my next master plan of how I'm going to achieve this goal. Unlike a lot of negative patterns, this one is a bit more challenging for me because it feels good, right? I feel like I accomplished something. I feel like I was productive and like I used my day well. It's not like I sat there just scrolling social media or just not doing any work at all, right? I wrote out this great plan. And so you have to kind of challenge that and say, well, just because it feels good, that doesn't mean it was actually needed or even beneficial in the slightest. Because of that false sense of control or progress that it provides, planning is often a lot more comfortable than taking action, right? In my specific case, I'm working to build a marketing agency right now, and that requires a lot of cold contacts. I hate doing cold calls. I don't even like cold emails, even though I'm not even talking to them live at the same time or any type of cold outreach. I do not like doing. And so it's a whole lot easier for me to say, well, instead of actually calling somebody like I should instead just write out a new script of like how I should approach these sales calls, or maybe I should draft up this new plan to do this. And that planning, again, it still provides that sense of productivity, but it just helps me to avoid the work that I needed to get done, and it's a whole lot more comfortable, and less ambiguous than the potentials of, right, making those cold calls or whatever it might be, any of the type of work that I have to get done. Because of that, it still provides that immediate reward, and so I know that I can easily get trapped into this cycle of just planning and planning and planning, and have to force myself to cut off the plan and just say, "Nope, this is it. This is what I'm doing," and sticking to that without making changes until needed. We've probably all met at least one person who likes to talk about their goals a lot. And they share these great visions that they have of what they're going to do to change the world or bring success into their own life, but they never actually act upon it. And they always seem to be talking about it from the same place that they've never actually started. Maybe it's, oh, I want to start a business, or oh, I want to start a YouTube channel, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, but never, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing to working towards that. I think this planning, the action of planning that I do is kind of my form of this. Sure, I'm not running around shouting it to everybody that I know, but I am kind of doing that same thing in my mind. I'm envisioning this future. I'm envisioning these goals, envisioning myself there. And so that brings me the excitement of that, but it is a replacement for actually taking the action. The impact of this goes beyond just the wasted time of the plan, because I've also found that when I'm in that state, it becomes so much harder to transition to the actual work because I'm envisioning so far ahead in the future where I'm not even there yet. I don't want to do the work that's required here. I'm envisioning life here when I still have to take the steps needed to actually get up to that point. And so it makes it harder to actually do the work and put in the effort now because I'm envisioning this future that hasn't happened yet. In recognizing this behavior, there's a few key steps that I'm taking to make sure I'm combating it properly. The first one being just to recognize and to call it out when I see that I'm falling into this pattern, right? That's kind of just the basis for just about anything when you're trying to improve or grow into a certain area, is just to call out a behavior when you see it. But following that, in terms of like actual actionable steps, there's a few key ones in particular that I wanted to mention. The first one being that I'm setting it now that any type of planning that I do comes after I've already completed what was set out for the day. I talked about this, I think, last week or the week before or something like that, where like I typically have my top three priorities for the day laid out. And only then, once I've completed those top three priorities, whatever they are, after that, if something needs to be planned, like maybe just the following day or whatever it is, then I can actually take that action. Then I can write out a plan and move things forward. The next is making sure I'm only keeping plans at the level that they're actionable today. So, what I mean by this is not necessarily just a day to day plan, but I have this idea, like with my agency, like I mentioned, I want to grow it beyond just what it does currently. There's a few specific softwares that I would love to build out that I think would be really beneficial, but I am not a software developer. So it doesn't make sense to actually set these goals or to build out these plans of how I'm going to do this when I am nowhere at the level of being able to do something like that or being able to hire on somebody to take care of that and to build something out as well, right? It's good to have these things in mind and to say, okay, I'm going to do this. I would love to say, maybe in 5 years, this is something that I'm going to be working on. But right now, I can't take action on that. The only action I can take is the things that will get me up to a point to be able to do that. So I'm not going to spend any time actually writing out a plan or figuring out how to do something like that when what I really need to be doing is focusing on the things that I can do today. Limiting the scope of my plan is probably what's had the biggest impact because it's helped me just keep focused on what I can do today instead of trying to project out what the future 5, 10 years are going to look like exactly. In all of this, I'm working just to remind myself that the plan isn't the actual work, right? The work is the work. The plan is just nothing but a starting point to actually get moving forward with that and progressing towards my goals. The plan doesn't get me there, it's just the roadmap. I actually have to drive and push towards those goals, even when it's not comfortable, even when I don't feel like it, and even when planning sounds a whole lot better than actually doing.